Before the Bell here on MMA Oddsbreaker. That's the Kalikas. I'm Frank Trigg. This week we're talking about UFC Fight Night 85, which has really seemed to fly underneath the radar simply because Holly Holm just lost and Conor McGregor just lost. So it's kind of been really swarmed up. The battle, of course, with Anderson Silva, trying to find out is he going to fight in UFC 198 or not down in Brazil. That's been a hot topic as well. So this card really snuck underneath. I saw Frank Mir on live broadcast on Facebook in Brisbane. He looked really good. He was very open and honest. And, Frank is just one of those guys that he's a Hall of Fame heavyweight, and he's fighting a tremendous puncher in Mark Hunt, but no one's really paying attention. I don't really get it. But the most surprising thing in this whole thing, Nick, has got to be Hector Lombard, first fight back against Neil Magny at the co-main event, just off a steroid suspension. I thought he got caught after the new rules came in effect, so he'd be banned for 2 years. Was he caught before?
The timing on it exactly, I'm not sure. So I think it was right before everything kind of kicked in. I believe. I could be wrong, though. But, yeah, it would be strange if not a longer suspension. So it must have been right before.
We got to applaud the UFC because they did start a new trusting program that now every promotion is having to use when they go into commissions. And so a lot of guys might clear pre-fight and they fail post-fight. Or they might clear post-fight and they don't clear pre-fight. It's happened to a couple of guys where they're getting caught in pre-fight stuff and post-fight they're completely fine. So it's been really good. What kind of Hector Lombard do you think we're going to see now that he's got to be completely clean now with the new testing protocol?
Well, hopefully we see the Hector Lombard that we're all used to. I mean, the guy's phenomenal. He's got everything that you want to see, especially in the welterweight division since he moved down. I mean, from the middleweight division. He was obviously the Bellator king at middleweight for a long time. He was the reigning champion, just going through people. And, he fought some okay competition outside of the UFC, and he looked good. And then since he came into the UFC, a lot of high expectations for him. So, and he's performed. I mean, he's really had some good performances. But, again, now this situation is a little bit different. He's getting a little bit older. He's been suspended. He's had some time off. So we're really not sure what we're going to see. And on the other end of it, he's fighting a very hungry, improving fighter in Magny. I mean, Magny's quickly rose to the top of the welterweight division, beating solid competition along the way up. So this is no easy task at all. That's why Magny right now is actually the current betting favorite. He's minus 130 and Lombard's plus 110. So, and I did open it, Lombard the slight favorite. So the public actually, and just general action overall, some sharp action included, flipped the line, and now Magny is a slight favorite.
Okay. So was this line tough for you to pick with Lombard being off for such a year?
Yeah, it was, especially, again, with factoring in all of Magny's improvements along the way as well. It is tough because if this was maybe a year or two ago, I mean, Lombard would be a pretty decent favorite. I mean, let's face it, but you got to give Magny the recognition for the hard work he's put in and the improvements that he's made, and then Lombard with the time off and everything. So it was a little bit tricky to set. And I was surprised that, the lack of confidence right now in Hector Lombard. A lot of people are off his bandwagon, and they do believe that Magny's going to win this fight. I'm not so sure. I mean, I like what I see from Lombard thus far. Again, there is some question marks behind him right now going into this fight. But still, I mean, he's got that judo background where he could just ragdoll people. Look what he did to Jake Shields in that matchup. I mean, who's done that to Jake Shields? Nobody's controlled him and threw him around like that. I mean, nobody's ever, I think, dominated Jake Shields on the ground quite like that, at least at that time. So it's pretty impressive. And then, of course, he's always been dangerous on the feet, has that outstanding knockout power as well. So he's a tough out.
Does Hector Lombard getting caught? I mean, he's one of those guys when he got caught, we're like, yeah, like it didn't, the visual test obviously is what a lot of people call it. We look at somebody like, oh yeah, definitely, if he gets caught on something, I'm not going to be surprised. But it wasn't just Hector. A lot of guys from ATT, American Top Team, got caught throughout sporadically, not at the same time, like sporadically throughout the years. Is this now becoming a problem at ATT, or do you think it's just a one-off thing that just happened? A couple of guys happened to get caught within 12 months of each other.
I don't know if you could pinpoint just only ATT. I think it's a problem. Honestly, it's a problem across the industry in general. So I know that they're getting flagged. They're getting caught more recently. So, yeah, it is floating around. Obviously, there's something going on there. But, again, I think it's kind of hard to point the finger only at them. I think across the board, it's like that. I mean, it's sad to say, but hopefully the sport does get cleaned up. But, yeah, it hasn't been that good as far as ATT getting a lot of fighters busted recently with the steroid allegations. So not a good thing, but hopefully they move on and we don't see anything like that happen here soon.
All right. So with this line, the way you have it set up, it's pretty close to a pick 'em.
Right.
I'm leaning a little bit towards Magny because he's been on fire. He's pushing a lot more. Obviously, right now the betting public has made him the favorite, but I still would lean on him at this price. Is this a right choice for me?
This is hard. I mean, it is hard because of the way these guys match up. Magny has a huge reach advantage in this fight. I mean, he's going to have 9 inches of reach. He's got some skill on the feet. His wrestling has looked great. His grappling is always improving. So it's very tough. I'm going the other way, though. I really think that Lombard, as an underdog, will have a little bit of value. So I'm going against the grain here because, again, we can't just forget what he's accomplished throughout his career and what kind of fighter he is. I think he might arguably be. I mean, we'll have to see how he performs, obviously, against Magny. But in my opinion, he's right up there with the Robbie Lawlers of the division. I mean, Robbie's a champion right now, but he's right underneath there, and he might be the best welterweight in the UFC. I mean, he's that good. So at plus money on Lombard, I would go that way. I mean, I'm picking him to win the fight as well. I wouldn't be shocked if Magny wins it, though. It's one of those situations where, I mean, the improvement and everything that we just mentioned, but I have to still go with Lombard here.
Okay, let's move on to the main event. Frank Mir and Mark Hunt. Mir is not going to be able to knock out Mark Hunt, but he will be able to submit him. The problem is Mark sometimes has come off too smart when it comes to submission game, and Frank might actually have to break something on him to finish the fight. On the other end of it, obviously Hunt can knock out Mir pretty much any way he decides to if Mir stands in front of him and drops his hands even a little bit. With those 5.5-ounce gloves on, it is not much protection even when you block a punch from a guy like Mark Hunt. I got to think right now that Hunt's the favorite just because of the way Mir has looked as of late, but is that true?
Yes, he actually is a favorite. He's coming in at minus 160. The comeback on Frank Mir right now, let me check, it is about plus 140. So still hanging in there. It's been around that range, 160, 170 for quite a while. People are favoring Mark Hunt in that fight. Man, it is tough. And you just broke it down. It's basically your striker versus grappler matchup. I mean, Mir's going to want to get this fight to the floor and work his submission game. He's one of the best submission artists of all time in the UFC heavyweight division. There's no doubt about that. And then one of the all-time great knockout artists in the heavyweight division for the UFC is Mark Hunt. And we know that each other's kryptonite's kind of, I mean, Hunt has problems with submissions, good guys on the floor that can submit him. And at the same time, Mir has been knocked out, I think 7 times throughout his career as well. So both these guys kind of have their kryptonite that they're facing. So another tough matchup here. But you know what? Frank Mir, to me, recently, I think he showed me a little bit more. I mean, he's going out there putting it all on the line. He doesn't almost, not that he's been afraid, but he doesn't have that that quit in him. I think at one point he almost, when the pressure was on him, he'd almost like wilt under pressure. Right now he's not fighting with that mental mindset that I think he had not too long ago. I think he finally got over the hump mentally, and he's been putting out there. He's been performing better. He's even had some great knockouts. I mean, the guy's looked really good overall. Now, his conditioning is a question mark. Sometimes he shows up a little heavy. Sometimes he shows up a little bit lighter. So I don't know what kind of shape he's going to be in. But in this fight, what it comes down to is, will he be able to get this to the floor against Mark Hunt? And if he does, I think he submits him fairly quickly. So it is a dog or pass situation in my opinion right now.
From a boxing standpoint, Jimmy Gifford, who's his boxing trainer in Las Vegas, is also Misha Tate's boxing trainer. And we saw how Misha was able to deal with Holly. But also, too, both Frank and Misha have that come from behind. I'm always in the fight. I'm always still kind of there. No matter how bad you beat me up in the first couple of rounds, late in the fight, I can still come back. And I kind of think this is going to happen with Frank in this fight, that Hunt is going to be all over him. And then even though Mir has a tough time with conditioning, whenever you can tell by the way he weighs in, if he's heavy, his conditioning is going to be low. If he's lighter, his conditioning is in good shape. That Hunt's conditioning isn't that good either. Hunt just can go if you make it a stand-up striking battle. He's been doing it for years. He can kind of stay in the pocket and be safe and be okay. And even though he's exhausted, not get hit, not fall down. But if you make it a grappling match, which is the way Mir wants to do it, he's got a shot come late. So early, obviously, I'm picking Hunt because legitimately, it's not even one punch knockout power. He's got half punch knockout power. He can barely just touch you. You're going to fall down. He's so big. He's so strong. But then Mir, late in the rounds, I kind of pick him. But at the price, you told me earlier, I got to take Lombard even though because he's the dog. And that's just the way the Hector is. On this one, do I still take Mir because he's the dog on this one as well?
Yeah, I think so. It's hard to lay that juice against a fighter like Frank Mir, especially what his game plan is going to be. I know that he's had a tendency recently to stand up and bang, and he's throw down a little bit. And he's got some power as well, but he's a smart guy, and he has to know that you don't want to do that and play Mark Hunt's game. He's going to look for the takedown. He's going to want to get this fight to the floor. Hunt's takedown defense has improved, but I still think Mir could probably get it down. So if that's the case, I think this fight personally ends in the first round either way. Either Mark Hunt knocks him out before he gets the takedown, or with the quick scramble back to the feet, he knocks him out, or Mir gets him down and then goes right away for that Kimura. I think it would possibly mounts him, and gets him into some serious trouble. So I would go with the dog money here because it's hard to lay. I mean, either way. Now, if Mir was a favorite, there's no way I would lay the juice against Mark Hunt. But since Mark Hunt is a favorite, there's no way I would lay the juice the other way. You know what I mean? So I would go with the dog here for sure because just the weaknesses of each fighter is going to probably show through here. So we could see Mir get knocked out. I mean, that's a very good possibility, but we could also see him win by submission. And I think he probably has a better shot than most think winning by submission here.
It was Josh Burnett and Mark Hunt that fought in Pride, correct?
Yeah.
And then Burnett took him down. Converted him right away. They took him down within the first. I mean, it was early in the first round. He kind of ducked out of his punches, he loses range. Frank Mir has the opportunity to do that as well if he chooses to. But once again, we're both fights are on dog or pass. So we're going to go with Lombard and we're going to go with Mir in your betting prospects. But we're not surprised if it goes the other way with the victories, correct?
Yeah, correct. So you can't go crazy and bet a ton of money here, a lot of units. You know what I mean? You have to kind of take it easy within reason because there are definitely two bets that you could lose. But I do favor, the dog price here because realistically, both these guys can win. Lombard could beat Magny. He could knock him out. I think he could decision him as well. And then obviously Frank Mir could submit Hunt as well. So I think both of them do have value as underdogs here for sure. So it is a true dog or pass situation and worth a stab. But again, just be careful of how much you put out there because you can see that money go bye-bye if it goes the other way for sure.
That's Nick Kalikas. I'm Frank Trigg. This is Before the Bell here on MMA Oddsbreaker. We'll see you next week.